Welcome back to a Thursday edition of Running Point on ysnlive.com. Tomorrow night, Division II, Region 5, will have quarterfinal matchup from Falcon Stadium as the Fitch Falcons take on the Warren Harding Raiders. And the rematch of what seems like a lifetime ago in a lot of ways, and in other ways, it just seems like yesterday. The Fitch Falcons knocking off Harding earlier in the year, 25-21. And to talk about that matchup and talk about the Week 4 matchup, we bring in Fitch coach TJ Parker. Coach Parker, how are you today, sir?
Doing pretty good. Getting things all worked out over here before tomorrow's game, but overall, we're feeling pretty good about tomorrow and what we got to do to get the W.
Does it seem like a lifetime ago you guys took on Harding in week number 4 in some way, shape, or form?
I'm telling you, I when you said it right there, I thought the same thing you said. It feels like forever ago, but when I was reading one of the articles that were wrote on the game, it said this is the second time we're meeting within 35 days, and I thought, sure doesn't feel like that, but yeah, I guess it really is. So, yeah, it does feel like forever ago, and I think a lot of that has to do with the way both teams have developed over that time, and we're just excited to get back on the field and see those guys again.
Before we even talk about Harding, we're going to go and take a step backward to last week against Twinsburg. And when I spoke to you prior to this game, one of the things that I asked was the layoff and how the layoff is going to affect you guys. Seemed like you guys got off to somewhat of a slow start, but good God, once you got going, it was like, okay, yeah, now we're back to where we're supposed to be, and Feed the Nest Nation just kept rolling and rolling and rolling, and you got the impressive win over Twinsburg. Did you feel like as the first quarter started winding down, you guys were in the position where everything was going to start to explode?
Yeah. Going in, I got to be honest with you, and I know we spoke about this last week. They had some weapons that we knew we had to prepare for. And once we saw them on the field and we sized them up, they had some athletes, they had some bigger guys. Once the game got going, what I mentioned, having Todd Simons, our big wide receiver, out. Offensively, it was a little bit of adjusting, guys in new places and moving, and that was honestly a game-time decision. So, you work things in practice and with the idea that, hey, maybe probably come back, and then it was a last-second kind of, all right, I'm going to dress, but I don't know if I can go. So I think that threw us off a little bit and got us a slow start. But once the pads started cracking a little bit and we got a little comfortable with exactly their speed and how they're attacking us, we settled in nicely. But still, I thought we got a little sloppy and may have done some things that versus better competition we wouldn't normally do. So that was disappointing, and things we can get away with versus Twinsburg that we can't necessarily get away with versus Warren. And then this week throughout practice, we've kind of cleaned that up and got back to doing what we do.
And this is going to sound weird, but there are plenty of things that a coach and the coaching staff can do to clean things up, as you mentioned, in a big win. There could be some parts of the game that didn't look all that good, and you hit the nail on the head. I mean, can Fitch play that kind of game against Warren Harding? Would you be able to beat Harding 35-0 the way you played against Twinsburg? Probably not. And that's where you guys are now going to say, hey, look, we won this game. You guys should be happy that we won this game, but let us explain to you why you have to clean some things up, because even though you won 35-0, this effort isn't going to get it done in our ultimate goal, which is to get out of Division II, Region 5. So there's certainly ways in which the coaching staff can politely tell the kids, hey, look, you won a great game last week, but that's not going to be the level we're expecting for you guys to be at, and let us show you what you need to do. So I think that's just a fantastic job for you guys to go through the course of the week just working on that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that was the message right when we got in the locker room after the game. I told the kids, I looked at them and I said, we're in the tournament now. The ultimate goal is win in advance. We have to win in advance. However you do it, that's our goal. But exactly what you said, the things we did tonight are not going to get us by as we progress. So we need to clean things up and get it better at what we do and really start to focus in. And then naturally, as you advance, the antennas on the kids start getting higher and higher, and it's a lot more easier to kind of hone them in. But it's just interesting because, with the tournament and the win in advance type mentality, usually on a Saturday morning, hey, let's break down the Twinsburg film and saw how we do, and let's move on to scouting. I decided, hey, we're just moving forward, and every game we're moving forward. We're not going back. Everything we've taught and we went over and over, we don't need to look at again and continually coach. We'll pull some clips out that we really want to focus on, but overall, it's our game plan and how we're attacking them, and that's how we want to move forward. So that's what we did all week.
You guys are taking on a familiar team in Warren Harding. When it came time to getting film on Harding, did you even bother getting film on them, or are you just saying, wait a second, okay, we beat them in week 4. Let me get some film on these guys week 5 and in their Dynamite playoff victory over Maple Heights. Did you guys try to get film after you beat them in week 4, or were you just looking at just getting film, period?
Yeah, with us and for spectators who kind of didn't follow Harding before our game, the first time they came with their 22 power offense, fullback, a tight end, a wing, that was the first time they showed it all season was in our game. We were caught by surprise by that, and they had some success with that throughout spurts of the game. And then moving forward, they kind of made that a staple of their offense. So we took all the film after the game we played them and looked pretty heavily at that and kind of what they want to do in certain situations and their offense moving forward. So, you would think, hey, we saw a team week 4, and when you say familiar, well, there was actually 2 completely different teams. The one we game planned for in week 4 is completely different than the one we're game planning for now.
How hard is it for you as a coach to try to convince 15 to 18-year-old kids, okay, you played this team and you beat them 25 to 21 in the week 4 of the regular season? How hard is it for you to tell these kids, hey, this team is different, and even though you beat them in week number 4, there's no guarantee that you're going to be able to beat them on Friday night. You got to pay attention and you got to do all the right things because, look, Coach, we were all teenagers at one point in time, and I can tell you from my own personal experience, we beat you guys earlier? Okay, yeah, let's just take care of business, and we'll go right into the semifinals, and I'm not even going to have a second thought about this team because we already beat them once in the regular season. How difficult is it for you as a coach to try to tell your kids, you need to stop about the week 4 thing? This is a completely different game, and what you did in week 4 doesn't mean a hill of beans.
Yeah, 2 things on that. First and foremost, I think our kids, our staff, in general, have the utmost respect for Warren and everything they do over there. So the motivation, I think they really understand they're a very good football team, and that game could have went either way. So that's the first thing in terms of how hard it was to motivate. But the second thing, our doubters are still there. As a program, we haven't completely arrived yet to the point where, we're consistently expected to win without people throwing that kind of side of doubt in our face. And wouldn't you know, again, it's reared its face right to our kids. And, everything says, hey, it's hard to beat a team second time around. And I don't know, Fitch got away with one last time. And our kids hear that. So the motivation for this one, it hasn't been as hard as you think it would be.
It seems to me that that is motivation in and of itself. The lack of perceived respect from a program that is seeded number 2 in this region, and you're seeded number 2 for a reason in this region, and yet there's still people that may not be convinced of that. I got to believe that in of itself is motivation enough for everyone in Falcon country to continue to do what you've been doing this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just natural for people when you have success so early in anything. There will always be those people who try to find reasons that you're going to end up failing. And it seems like every week, every game, those people, show their face over and over and over. And our kids and our staff, we were surprised by our 2 seed. I mean, we honestly were. We felt like we deserved it, but we were surprised we got the respect from everyone else in our bracket, especially being, one of 3 teams from the Youngstown area, where that's a pretty prominent Cleveland, Akron bracket. But we just got to focus on us, and the thing moving forward is someday real soon we hope to be that program that's expected to win week in and week out. And then how do you transform from, this underdog role where, I always tell the kids, those hungry dogs want to eat. Well, you got to go from that team then to a team that's expected to win. And we're trying to transform that right now and balancing it. Hey, stay hungry. People are still doubting you, but don't forget, we're going in there with confidence. We're the number 2 team in the region for a reason, and we got to show that Friday night.
Would you rather be the team that is considered to be up and coming, or the team that is completely established, knowing that everyone is going to take their best shot against a team that you are no longer a mystery to anybody? And everyone knows where you are. Everyone knows what you do. Everyone knows that we have to bring our best game to you because you're now the benchmark. It seems to me there's an advantage in both, where you're the up-and-comer, and some folks may look at you and go, okay, we're not really sure about this group. We're not really sure about this team. But, yeah, okay, they're here, and they're here for a reason. You can sneak up on teams being the up-and-comers. You can't sneak up on anyone when you're the Akron Hoban or the other big dog in the yard.
Right. You're exactly right. And you asked which one we'd rather be. I mean, the underdog, that journey of proving the doubters wrong, that's a fun journey to be on. And we've been on it this year. And, like you mentioned, the whole Feed the Nest, our community. I mean, this is a levy year for us here in Austintown, and a really big levy to our community. And to take this ride, to take this journey with this group, our new staff, these seniors, the parents, the businesses, all in Austintown, it's been an unbelievable journey that I wouldn't want to trade for anything. But the ultimate goal is to get this program to be a state power where week in and week out, people don't want to play Fitch. They know what they're going to get when they play Fitch, and it's going to be one of the best football teams in the state. So, we want to get to that point. I guess that's the program I want this program to be. But I can't lie to you, this journey that we're on right now as the underdog and proving people wrong consistently, it's been pretty fun.
Coach, it's interesting. You guys are having this amazing year to this point, and you have a school levy. We saw this in my alma mater in the early 80s when Leetonia had to pass a school levy, and our football team was having an incredible year. It's I think it coincides. If you have a wonderful, wonderful year where all of a sudden everyone's team spirit is through the roof, that's going to tend to show in the polls on election day. And I hope that is the case for you guys, and you're able to pass your school levy based upon the fact that you guys are having such an amazing year this year.
Yeah, and my goal when we got here and our staff, we wanted to make this a football town. And I know a lot of people, it's, the school levy passing for, not only our schools, but for football and everything else. But it's not just about football. We wanted to make this a football town, to have that old school feeling of bringing families together, bringing the community together, shutting things down. You know the running back's name. You know the quarterback's name. We're all eating at local businesses. And that feeling that these kids get, when your football team's doing good, that means your band's playing on Friday nights. That means your cheerleaders are out there. That means your student section's packed. Everybody wants to be there. That means these little kids have heroes to look up to in our guys. It just creates a better place to be. And the school levy, we're happy to help support it as a football team and kind of really get behind it and hopefully help change voters' minds on the importance of it and know we need that levy to pass. But moving forward, year after year, it shouldn't be just in a levy year where it's important. It should be every year for Austintown to rally around all their sports teams and make that a sense of community.
Coach, before we let you go, a couple of things. What is going to be a red light in your mind if during the course of the game? If Harding does do something successfully, what would be the warning light for you guys in the course of Friday night's game at Falcon Stadium?
Yeah, I think the warning light will definitely be if they're establishing their run consistently, and they're ahead of schedule. That puts our defense in a really tough position because they do have athletes on the outside. They do a really nice job over there offensively, mixing it in when they're on schedule and working in front of the chains. That'll be a red light for us and our staff. And then defensively, we need to keep them on their toes. We need to put points on the board to help our defense out. So if they're forcing us, and you see us playing on our side of the field a lot offensively, that'll be another kind of red light going off to us that, all right, we got to manufacture something here. We got to get going and change some things.
Well, we talked with Coach Perlogo and Coach Julia, the two teams from Division 7 in Warren, JFK, and Leetonia. And the fact that of the 8 teams that are left, 7 of those 8 were seated in the top 8. I take a look at Division 2, Region 5, and again, every coach had the opportunity to seed the teams in this entire region, top to bottom. I don't know what you guys did. I don't know how you guys did this, but to a coach, you were a perfect score. The top 8 seeds are still alive. 1 will play 8, 4 plays 5, 2 plays 7, 3 plays 6. It's chalk all the way to the quarterfinals. It is amazing what you guys were able to do in seeding the top 8 teams, and you got it right because the top 8 teams are in the quarterfinals. Well done, Coach.
Yeah, I just think it's not only me; it's all the coaches in the region. That was our biggest worry. Were teams sticking together. There's honestly some programs with maybe lazier staffs that don't feel like putting the time in and just want to go to Joe Etal and, hey, what's that order? All right, I'll submit that order. But I couldn't be more pleased and proud, and it gives me a lot of confidence moving forward that if this is something the state wants to do in the future, that the guys we have in our region, the head coaches we have in our region are very respectful of the game, that they're going to do their homework, they're going to look at teams and seed them exactly how they should be seeded. I mean, you look at a Warren Harding, a Boardman, maybe not coming in to the voting with the best of records, but understanding who they played and how close they played them, and then their program history, they got seated where they should have been seated. And I hope moving forward, I really do hope the state goes forward with this, because the one thing you got over this is you did get credit for playing really good teams and playing them closely. With the old Harbin points and all that, it was you never got credit for a loss. No matter how good of a team you played, no matter how closely you played them, there was no credit for it. So you saw a lot of teams avoid teams, especially locally. We struggle with that. No one really wants to play ourselves or Warren Harding as the big dogs in really a small area region, or small school region, I should say. So it's tough for us to schedule games. So we end up having to go to Canton and Akron. And after a while, you kind of lose out on those hometown rivalries. And that's it would be nice to bring that back to say, hey, you can play these guys. If you play them close, the coaches in your region are going to see that as a sign of respect, and you're going to get seated where you should be seated.
All right, so let me ask you. I mean, the OHSAA is talking about taking the top 12 teams in the computer poll, but they were also hemming and hawing about shortening the regular season to 8 regular season games, to where you go back to a 7-week format similar to what is going on right now. If it's coaches voting in each region with 8 weeks regular season, 7-week postseason, would you rather have that, or top 12 teams as picked on by the computer rankings, 10-game regular season, and you'll have 12 teams in each region, and you extend the football season by 1 week?
Yeah, I don't mind the shortened season to start, but that's a double-edged sword, because the one thing you got this year, when every team was in the playoffs, it made it that much more important for seeding. I think when only 12 teams in a region now make the playoffs, that's when you can start getting into teams protecting themselves or making sure they're moving other teams in certain places to ensure that they're one of the 12 teams. It's a point system. So, for instance, in our region, the number 1 team received, I believe it was like 26 points, and then the number 2 team received 24. Well, if you took the actual number 2 team and you wanted to kind of make them pay, you just move them to last place, and then they end up getting 1 point. And you did see that in a couple regions where maybe it wasn't that bad, but I know like in the Massillon Perry and the Massillon Washington region, they had an instance where Massillon Perry I think Massillon Washington ranked them pretty low, and it ended up costing Massillon Washington the number 1 seed in that region. And there's little gamesmanship there, and that's kind of the part that I really don't like, especially when there's a cutoff from that 12th seed to the 13th seed.
Coach, all the best to you, and good luck on Friday night as you take on Warren Harding.
Thank you, Ron. We really appreciate it.
All righty. T.J. Parker, the head football coach of the Austintown Fitch Falcons. Man, that's going to be a great game. It is going to be a super, super game on Friday night.